The system we're currently using is the Force America 6100 electronic sander control system. It controls your sander functions and your pre-wet functions, along as your wing plow and front plow controls.
Approximately 2/3 of our fleet is equipped with this Force America equipment.
It's set to where if you drive faster, it varies the rate that it applies material at.
Crushed sand is expensive, and then we have like a 7% salt mix into our sand. So yeah, just a small adjustment like that can add up.
Whatever inputs you give to the system as far as your application rate, if you want 800 pounds of material applied per lane mile, whatever your liquid rate is, maybe 6 or 8 gallons per ton. If you drive 30 miles an hour, the system slows down to compensate for that. If you drive faster than that, the system speeds up to compensate for that. So your application rate is uniform no matter how fast you're driving.
One of the things we looked at when we were evaluating this equipment initially was the ease of use. And Force is really intuitively easy to use.
This is the current system that we're using at WYDOT, and we'll go through some of the functions. The top row of joysticks, the joystick all the way to the left controls plow up, down, right, left, and the button on the top will activate the spreader on and off. The center joystick will control the wing up and down, in and out, and the center button will activate the blast on and off. The joystick all the way to the right controls the hoist up and down. The row of switches in the center of the console, the switch all the way to the left energizes the float momentary on and off. The only time you will use this button is when coupling and uncoupling the front plow. The rest of the time the float is in the on position. The center 3 switches are not currently hooked to anything. The switch all the way to the right turns the system on and off. The back row of controls, you've got your green button and dial. It can be rotated to adjust the rate of material you're going to apply, dry material, and it can be pushed to activate the spreader from standby to actually on. The blue button is your rate in which your spinner spins, and that's also a blast button on and off. The other button all the way to the lower right corner is the navigation button. This button can be pushed, rotated, or moved up, down, or side to side. We have 3 different screens: a granular screen, a menu screen, and a utility screen. The different screens control different functions. They are controlled by the soft keys, the shapes on the lower left-hand part of the console. They'll correspond to the different sections on the display screen. Currently we're on the utility screen. From the solid circle, you can increase the light, the backlight, or decrease the backlight from this screen. You can activate or deactivate the auxiliary power. You can start distance measuring or turn it off and reset it if you had a value in that screen. From the menu screen, you could unload material, you could download data, or you could change different materials that you were going to apply, whether it's liquid or granular. From the granular screen, you can activate skip mode or turn skip mode off. You can turn your pre-wet function on, which will show up on the display screen as to what pre-wet material you're going to use. Once that is activated, from the white navigation button, you can adjust the rate in which you're going to apply liquid. From this screen, if you hit the green button, you would start applying. If you were moving, you could either do it from the green button or from the top of the plow joystick. If you were wanting to blast, you can hit that from the blue button, you can blast, or from the top of the wing button. The panes to the right of the display screen can be configured to the operator's preference. From the navigation button, you can go up to the second screen. The top screen's always going to be distance, but from there you can go side to side and pick whatever screen you would like to display. You can scroll down and there's several different screens that you can display, whether it's battery, speed, gate height, temperature. There's several different ones, and you can configure those to whatever your preference is. Emergency stop. If you want to deactivate the system, you can push the emergency stop button. It will turn everything off electrically and hydraulically. To reactivate that, you'll just give it a little eighth of a turn to the right, and then you'll get a message that the e-stop has been activated, and it'll want you to reset it. Push the white navigation button to reset it. If there was a system failure, one of the first things an operator should do is pull the cover to the hydraulic control box and check the gauge on the front of the valve section. There should be approximately 400 pounds of standby pressure with the vehicle running. Probably the most important thing when you're first operating the system is to make sure that your gate height is set at what the system thinks you're running at. Second, you need to just double check your application rates for your dry materials and your liquid materials. Depending on storm conditions and depending what application rate you want, you might increase or decrease your application rate for your granular materials or your liquid materials. We're trying to utilize our materials to the best of their ability and not over apply materials. Getting enough materials on the road to make it passable and safe, but not over applying materials is always a consideration.
Bottom line there is we're not using as much material and we're using it more efficiently. At some point then you're done setting it up and you can just go to work, and really it becomes transparent to the operator. He drives the truck, keeps his eye on the road and does his job. We don't want the driver to have to think about a million different things other than keeping his mind on the road and what's going on. You got enough stuff with a wing plow, a front plow, and all the trucks around you and everything else to be worried about. Once you get that thing set up, you shouldn't have to worry about it.